Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, all massively helps out as always. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. This story comes from Here's Johnny 94 who says, I 31 male, am sterile. Fiance 27 female miraculously got pregnant. Baby looks nothing like me. How do I address this? We had been trying to have a baby for a few years. Eventually we found out I was sterile. We accepted it and decided to hold off on trying so hard and said that we would figure out what I'd do in the future. Although we weren't trying, we were continuing to have sex obviously. One day she missed her period and we found out she was pregnant. I was so happy and I thought it was amazing. We joked about how as soon as we stopped trying she ends up pregnant. The doctor said it was a miracle baby. The night that the baby was born, I couldn't be happier. I was just happy to finally have a baby and so excited to take her home. After a few days of taking care of her, I couldn't help but notice that she was extremely pale. For reference, I am black and she is white. I figure she would eventually darken a little and I didn't want to overthink it. Then our friends came over and while the girls were inside, we were out back drinking. They all mentioned that they didn't want to worry me or to cause drama, but asked if I ever thought my fiance would cheat on me. I thought it was very weird, and then I knew exactly why they were going with it. I said no when we talked about our concerns with the baby's skin tone. However, I still tried to brush it off, thinking that the baby would get darker after a while. Now the baby is 5 months, and I can't help but question if she's mine already. She has very fine hair, no kinks or curls, just bone straight hair. I know she's a baby, but I've been around plenty of babies who still have natural curls, so she is also still very pale. The thing that's been bothering me the most is that every day she looks more and more Asian in the eyes. I don't mean to offend anyone at all, but her eyes are just very stretched, they look nothing like mine. Is it wrong for me to be questioning my fiance when this would have never crossed my mind before? Am I just being paranoid? How do I go about addressing this? Do I even say anything? My biggest fear is that the baby is somehow mine and she'll be extremely hurt that I accuse her of sleeping with someone else. I just don't know what to do. Please help me. Indie Poker says, I hope I catch you before you drop a bomb on the mother of your child. What's the end goal? What's your end goal? I say this because being a father doesn't mean being a biological father. For years we struggled with having a kid. I get the strong desire to procreate, I do. I empathize with your needs to feel that your bloodline continues after you. The issue I feel you need to address is one of your own desire for fatherhood, not whether you are biologically the father. Others have said how to deal with that, but your unbelief about being a father and the accusation is a big deal. You're not just about to tell her, hey, I think you messed up here. You're about to accuse her of infidelity. And that is something that doesn't go back in the box. You will never get that back from your SO. Ever. You may get over this accusation, but you will always remember it. Understand that. Yes, it could be someone else's. It could. But you could also have a miracle child like we did. It's okay to have concerns about it, but what's the rush in finding out? Would you leave her? If so, get it done. But if it turns out to be your kid, you are now never the same as a couple. A father is not just biological. Stepfathers around the world prove to be the case. You need to decide if you love the child, and if so, does anything about them change that? If not, then in my opinion, let it go. Be the father you always wanted to be. That comment kind of had me like, hold up a second. Whilst I totally agree about stepfathers and a father is not biologically and stepfathers absolutely prove that to be the case. But then he went on to say, if you love the child, does anything about that change? And sure, loving the child is absolutely fine. But it questions their whole relationship, does it? You can't just move on and say, oh yeah, I'll accept that child in my life if it's mine or not. But if it's not, that says your fiance has done something. And again, I totally agree that you have to be super careful with your words here because an accusation like that is accusing her of infidelity, and that is a big deal. But I also do think that you need to clear up your worries at the same time as well, because otherwise I don't think you're ever going to move on from this in some ways. But Estri says, get a DNA test and secretly do it yourself. If the results come back that you're the father, then congratulations to you. If the results come back that you're not the father, then you need to have a serious talk with your fiance. Get the DNA test done before you get married. Please update us when it happens. Matko wife says get a paternity test to know for sure, but it's entirely possible for you to have a child who didn't acquire a lot of your physical traits. We carry DNA from many generations in us, and you never know what is going to be passed on. Alpha replies that saying not to mention there are weird creations like two dark-skinned people having a white-skinned baby. It's crazy sometimes, but yeah, paternity test is the way to go. You don't even have to ask her to do it. Order it. You swab the baby and send it back. You can then do with the results as you please. Hopefully it works out that she is yours. Can I question OP? Exactly how are you sterile? Was it confirmed that none of your sperm are able to fertilize or you don't make any or? And then OP replies saying, after trying for a while and nothing happening, we went to a doctor. I was told that my sperm count was almost non-existent and that the possibility of us having a baby without fertility treatment would be impossible. After finding out that she was finally pregnant, the doctor pretty much just told us that it was nothing short of a miracle, and that was the only way he could explain it. At the time it felt great, but looking back it just worries me that he had no medical explanation for how I was able to impregnate her. And now seeing the baby, it's a lot. I found OP's reply there quite interesting because he said that he was told his sperm count was almost non-existent and the possibility of having a baby was almost non-existent, but the possibility of having a baby without fertility treatment would be impossible. But one more from Weasel Panties who says paternity tests are reasonably inexpensive and only require a cheek swab. That said, I gave birth to a totally blue-eyed blonde child with silky straight hair. I'm light-skinned and mixed race, but I'm definitely black. The boy was definitely mine. I was fully awake and aware when I pushed him out, but looked nothing like me. By the time he was 13, his hair thickened up and his features looked just like mine. Meanwhile, my oldest, who has my hair color and skin tone, has approximately 0 other physical features of mine. Kids don't always look like their parents, and when they do, it's often in unexpected ways that don't emerge until they're older. I said one more because I just saw this comment as well and I found it quite interesting from Terra Goose who says, be aware though, there was a story on Reddit a while ago about a man who did a swab test, the kind where you swab yourself and send it to a lab. And when the result came in, it indicated that the child was not his. So he told everyone and started the divorce process. But I think the wife insisted on more tests being made. The end result was that the test made in a hospital setting said that he was actually the father. So the first test was wrong. Now, he didn't want to get divorced anymore, but his wife was so hurt that she went through with a divorce. So those tests can sometimes be inaccurate. If you get a negative result, maybe take another test to confirm before you start anything. So then OP went on to an update which says, I don't even know where to start. Part of the reason I didn't update right away was because my thoughts have been all over the place as of late. I've been making major adjustments and dealing with a lot. My daughter is not actually mine. While it was incredibly hard to get through at first, I think that a small part of me was already mentally prepared for it. I just had a feeling. I hoped it wasn't true and I convinced myself that I was doing this just to rid my anxiety, but I think deep down, I knew. I took a lot of the advice given and thought about it for a few days. After deciding how I was going to approach the conversation, I asked my fiancée to drop the baby off at her mother's house so we could have a night to ourselves. I made dinner and then tried to talk about things that we had been going through recently and how our lives had changed since having the baby. I explained that I had been having bad anxiety and that I believed that it was partially caused by becoming a new parent, but also the fact that I was sterile one minute and then we were told we're having a baby the next. Right away, she saw where I was going with that and she did get a bit defensive. She continued to tell me that miracles happen and that she couldn't believe I didn't trust her. I explained that I saw exactly where she was coming from, but asked that she saw it from my point of view as well. We argued and she refused to do the test. I told her that it was fine and that I would leave it alone. I wanted to leave it alone, but she kept bringing it up all night, even after I apologized and said that I wouldn't bring it up again. She kept telling me that she couldn't believe I would think of her that way and that I should just be happy that we have a beautiful, healthy daughter instead of trying to accuse her of cheating. That's when I started to question her. Something just didn't feel right and I knew I had to do the test regardless. I did the test the next day and waited a few days. By the end of the week, I found out that she wasn't mine. I cried for about 2 days straight. I just couldn't handle it and I had no idea what I was going to do. I tried to spend as little time in the house as I could because I knew she would see something was wrong right away. I struggled with figuring out how I would let her know that I knew. I also contemplated whether or not I should say anything because I knew this would change things with my daughter. I finally decided to just tell her. Of course, she denied it and said that the test was wrong and that I need to just drop it. I explained that the clinic said there was no way this could be an error. She continued to deny it, and I just couldn't believe that she would still lie to me straight to my face. She threatened to leave and take the baby, even though she has nowhere to go, seeing as her own mother doesn't want to get involved. We've been pretty much ignoring each other when we're not dealing with the baby. She said that she'll be out in 2 months, and I'm glad. My concern right now is whether or not she has the right to take the baby. I love my daughter more than anything, but I refuse to stay with this woman. I know the baby is not my blood, but if I'm on the birth certificate, does that help? I at least want to have shared custody. I bring on over half the income and provide everything for the baby. There is no way that she could take care of the baby without me. She will not be able to afford it. I know there's probably no way possible for me to get some custody, but is it pointless to fight for shared? I can't lose my daughter. As much as I hate what my fiance did, I don't even hate her. I can't explain how hard it is having to deal with losing someone I love so much, but also knowing that they would do something so terrible. It's hard enough having to end this with her, but I don't think I can handle not seeing my daughter anymore either. Please help with any advice as far as how I can fight for shared custody, if that's even possible given the circumstances. Edit. For every person that feels the need to comment rude things like, "She is not your daughter, please stop wasting your time." I'm aware that she is not my blood. That does not take away from the fact that I've been the one taking care of her since she was born. I've been the one changing her diapers, feeding her, etc. It baffles me that some of you don't have the decency to understand that after creating this bond with her, I refuse to say she's not my daughter now. I know that this is Reddit and I'm probably asking a lot of some of you, but seriously, how hard is it to be just a decent person? Now, I'm really not sure on the legalities of any of this. If OP is on the birth certificate, does that legally make him the father? What about the other father? Can he step into it if he finds out, and can he overrule and get his name on the birth certificate instead? I really don't know. But all I can really say is I'm extremely sorry that you're having to go through this, that you're having to deal with these feelings and finding out this, that you've built this bond up with your child, and where's it going to go in the future? You know, the huge grey area, that's the future for you. To me, and I know it sounds horrible and I'm just assuming, I don't think she's going to be very cooperative with the baby in your time, the way she threatened to leave and take the baby instantly when he was proving that you are not the father. I think it said quite a lot to me. I also found it very interesting that her mother doesn't want to get involved. I found it quite suspicious, like maybe she already knew about it, but obviously I don't know, I'm just guessing there. But I just wanted to cover one comment from a guy called Biggest Dickus, of course, there's always a classic name that comes up with these comments, who says, "Honestly, buddy, it is going to be all but impossible for you to try and co-parent, or have any real relationship moving forward. It seems like your wife has not even owned up to the truth. Also, if you were to know the real father, I can assure you that you will be beyond angry with him, and it is very likely that he will want to be a part of the child's life as well. I'm very sorry this has happened. Really, I am. My advice is to end this marriage, refuse to be a co-parent and go see a counselor. Honestly, there is just no other way for you to work through this and end up happy on the other side. There will be some very complicated legal and financial issues to deal with, but you seem like an educated guy, so you can do that. If you are a renter, go ahead and move out. If you're a homeowner, you should begin the process of splitting the assets and working with her on who will stay in the house. Your name is on the birth certificate, so that will also be an issue to unravel. Depending on where you live, you may or may not be able to get that changed. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you advise OP to deal with it? Maybe you're more savvy on the legal issues in this. What about the birth certificate? What if the father gets involved? Can that name be changed, or is it stuck now? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account titled, "Am I the Arsehole for dropping out as maid of honor in my older sister's wedding?" Backstory: I, 23 female, have two sisters, Jenna, 25, Summer, 19, and a brother, Jason, 22. My parents also took in a family member, Rachel, 11, a few months ago. Rachel has been through some shit. She doesn't talk, she never lets go of this little stuffed elephant, and she follows my mum everywhere. She can't go to school yet because my mum and her therapist agree that it would be too much for her. Rachel is the sweetest kid ever though. She's always down to cuddle and watch a Disney movie and has the cutest smile. Was even allowed to touch her elephant the other day. Jenna has always been a pretty difficult person. She hasn't lived at home in a while. She moved out for college, moved back home for a few months, then moved in with her boyfriend, now fiance. My parents have been using her room as a guest room, but they never changed anything about it. Rachel has also been staying there. My parents are going to adopt Rachel and want to turn Jenna's old room into Rachel's new room. They told Jenna they're turning her old room into Rachel's room, so she needs to come and go through her stuff and decide what she wants to keep and what she wants to donate or throw away. Jenna said they can find another place to put Rachel and she's not giving up her room. My parents said they've already made their decision and Jenna made an ultimatum. Either our parents keep her room the way it is or she goes no contact. My dad and I packed all of Jenna's stuff into boxes and put it in an empty garage. We painted Rachel's new room, put together furniture and filled the closet with new clothes and toys. We even built in a snack bar. Rachel loves it. She's starting to stay in her room more. Before, she'd only go in her room if she needed to change or sleep. And I'm pretty sure I heard her talking to her elephant. Not as good as talking to a person, but we'll take it. The problem is, now Jenna and my parents are in a huge fight. Jenna went no contact and uninvited my parents from her wedding. In retaliation, my parents announced that they wouldn't pay for half of the wedding anymore, and they're not going to pay the down payment on a house for Jenna and her fiancé, their wedding present. This has caused Jenna to call them abusive and neglectful to anyone that'll listen. I was supposed to be a maid of honor, but I can't believe she's acting like this, so I dropped out of the wedding party. Now Jenna's even madder, and her fiancé is saying the entire family is being cruel to her. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation to me. The fact that she threatened an ultimatum of parents keeping the room the way it is or she goes no contact, and then has like the surprise Pikachu face when they turned it into Rachel's room. And it sounds like an absolute wonderful place for Rachel. And I hope whatever shit she's been through, it slowly improves for Rachel. I imagine it's going to be a very long time from the way you explain how she is currently. But it certainly sounds like it's moving in the right direction, and don't let Jenna hinder that at all. Especially with her entitlement. And after she went no contact and still expecting the parents to pay for half of her wedding and down payment on her house. But NYK says not the arsehole, you're standing by your family. Wow, your sister is entitled. She thinks your parents are neglectful for not buying her a house or paying for a wedding and giving her unused bedroom to another child when she chose to go no contact. Did they take away her pony and diamond earrings too? You and your parents sound like lovely people. Rachel deserves to have the kindness and stability you are all offering. Chuckin says not the arsehole, and seriously, what did Jenna think was going to happen when she elected to go no contact and uninvite her parents from her wedding? They will still pay for it and give a generous wedding present. What kind of entitled arsehole caused this cruelty? They are literally accepting Jenna's offer not to participate. Her childhood bedroom is the hill she's decided to die on. Okay then, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, for fuck's sake. Caps fan says not the arsehole, there is no lifetime dibs on a room in a house that you don't own. Jenna is completely delusional. Keep being there for Rachel, and seems like her recovery has just begun. Because of this, your parents and yourself should not let Jenna back in the house. There is no telling what she will do to the room, the setting, and perhaps destroying Rachel or any progress she has made. It seems like she just started feeling safe by talking to her elephant and allowing you to touch it. Time to circle Rachel like a pack of elephants, like I'm sure you and your parents are doing by your post. Tomboy says, not the arsehole at all, but bonus points that you got to touch the precious elephant. Goal, have a stuffed raccoon named Nosy Paws. I had it since I was 6. From what I remember, if I trusted someone with Nosy, you were one of my people. Treasure the fact that you're able to get that kind of milestone. I remember when I was younger, I used to have this dog that stood probably a couple of feet off the floor, and it had real nice fur, and I used to brush it all the time. It used to be my favorite thing, just sit there and brush this dog. I don't know why. It's something I really enjoyed. And as I got older, I just sort of moved away from it in a way, and then I sort of got rid of all my stuffed animals, my Sonic the Hedgehog and all that sort of stuff, Tails. But I never forget that dog, and I remember it was in a friend of our family's loft, and I was always too scared to go and ask for it back. And I still think to this day, is that dog still in that loft? I'd love that back, but I don't want to go and ask for it. I know it sounds silly, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you have your own stuffed animal of any sort? What's its name? Let me know. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today. Getting involved in the stories, your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved. Absolutely incredible. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today